Jackson in the key. Kick out. Davenport.
A steal for Kentucky. Ahead to Reeves. Left wing three. Got it. Jackson weaves.
A dunk. Bounces off to Adu and he slams it home.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Student Section. So I am going to be doing a post-draft video, tier ranking each draft team and their picks. But before we get into that, I just want to quickly get into sorry, I don't know what that was. Quickly get into just some news going around the league right now. Obviously, there's a lot of free agency stuff going on. I'm basically just going to quickly cover the big stuff. The first one being the Paul George, not trade, but the Paul George signing with the 76ers. I don't know. Obviously, on paper, if everyone is healthy, this is a 100% title contender, championship contention type team. But the problem is health. You now have Joel Embiid, who doesn't have good injury history. You also pair him with Paul George, who doesn't have good injury history. These are your top three out of your. These are two out of your top three stars. And the fact that they're putting so much money into those top three players, they don't have as much supporting pieces down lower on the totem pole of importance. They did go out and sign Andre Drummond, which I think is an amazing pickup. They drafted, I'll get there later. I'm not going to talk about that yet. But I think they definitely did have some good pickups, just some overall decent moves. But like I was getting with that, if for some reason Paul George and or Joel Embiid are injured, this team won't be nearly as good as going to be Tyrese Maxey with a bunch of bad players. So we'll just have to wait and see. I do like the fit on paper. Obviously, it's an amazing fit. Paul George can go out there and be a third option. He can just be kind of a defensive mainly player. He can get the ball. Like how do I want to say this? He is definitely an upgrade from Tobias Harris. No doubt. He can play defense. He can be a spot-up shooter. He can create his own if need be. I like this fit. And Paul George is historically known as a guy who's okay with taking that backseat step, like allowing someone else to do good. Like that's what he did in OKC. That's what he did with the Clippers. He didn't really do that with the Pacers because he didn't really get that opportunity. But we've seen him do that before, and I think that is a perfect fit for this team. Another big thing that has happened is the Klay Thompson move. Obviously ending the dynasty with the Warriors, the Big Three, whatever. I like the fit. I think people are kind of over-exaggerating it, and the reason I say this, people are acting like this is a new super team. It's not a super team. First off, I want to mention the NBA media. I talked about this in my last episode, how like the duality of the NBA media is just, it's kind of embarrassing. So this whole season, the media, fans, everybody was clowning on Klay Thompson, calling him washed, calling him bad, because he really wasn't performing that well. I know the second half of the season he was averaging about 18 points per game, but other than that, the season as a whole, he just wasn't doing very good. Everyone talks about him shooting 0-10 in the elimination game, whatever. He didn't have a good season. People were clowning him, people were making fun of him, memeing him, whatever you want to say about it. They were openly voicing their opinions about how bad he was doing, but now all of a sudden, they're acting like he's just the missing piece for this Mavericks team. He's a part of a new Big Three. He is a game changer. I don't think he's that big of a game changer, honestly. I think this whole movement, I think people are obviously, it's kind of exciting to see him move on. It's surprising the fact that this dynamic, monstrous, powerful Big Three that has been taking over the late 2010s is moving and that they don't exist anymore. But you look at it from the Warriors standpoint, I'm glad they didn't try to overpay him and ruin their future by giving him what he wanted rather than what he deserves. And I think it's a win-win. It's a win-win-win. It's a win for Klay Thompson. He can go to a contending team. It's a win for the Warriors. They don't have to pay him for his subpar performances that he's been putting up. And I'm glad they didn't just pay him because he's a legacy player, just because he did all this good stuff, we're going to pay you now. No, win now. It's also a win for the Mavericks. They get a good supporting third piece who doesn't need... He is a pretty much completely off-ball player. He doesn't really play on the ball that much. He can play well off of Kyrie and Luka. I think it's a good situation for everybody now. With all this cap space opened up, the Warriors need to do something. They missed out on Klay Thompson, obviously. They missed out on Paul George. There's rumors for Lauri Markkanen and maybe Zach LaVine. If they don't get someone who can support Curry, this is going to be him. With Draymond Green, who's suspended for half the season anyways, and just a bunch of nobodies. They did go out and get D'Anthony Melton, which I think is an amazing pickup, but it's not shifting the tides. That's not doing much if you don't get other supporting pieces. I've seen a lot of rumors with Wiggins might be traded. They lost Chris Paul. Moody and Kuminga might end up in a trade. I think they're going to try their best to keep Kuminga. I think he's an amazing player. But I could definitely see Moody, Wiggins being traded. I don't think they're going to trade Trace Jackson Davis. There's a few other people they might move. Like Lester Quinones might get moved. I don't know if he's still on the team. I don't really know about that. But he's another piece that could be moved. They have to make moves, though. They have to help support Curry. They can't just let Steph just keep going out here and just having subpar teams, making the play-in, not making the playoffs. They have to do something. And I think them not overpaying Klay Thompson for just a legacy kind of signing, I think that shows positive movement for this team and what they're going to do in the future. I think it shows that they're willing to put Curry in like a winning situation. So that is good. I'm trying to think of other stuff that's happened, like just really, really big news. The Knicks are pretty much building a super team. I think they're now the second best team in the East, at least with the depth on their roster that they have. So there's that. With the Mikal Bridges pickup, there was the DeJounte Murray trade. I think that is obviously more favored towards the Pelicans. But now the Pelicans have a lot of pieces that I think they're still going to trade Brandon Ingram, because they have Zion, they have Brandon, they have DeJounte Murray, they have C.J. McCollum, they have Trey Murphy III. They have a lot of players that need the ball to create. They have to get rid of at least one of those guys. I think they could dump off Brandon Ingram, and don't expect it to be some superstar swap kind of trade. I think they're going to trade him and get 2 or 3 just good role players to help support this team. And if they do that, I would love to see them do that. Sorry, I don't even know. And then the last thing I really want to talk about before we get into these tier rankings is going to be Clutch Sports. Those of you who don't know Clutch Sports, they're a big player agency in the NBA. They have guys like LeBron, Bronny. They have, there's a lot. I think they have like Anthony Davis. They have a lot of really, really big names. If you want to go through and look it up, I think they might have Jimmy Butler as well. I'm not sure. They might have had Trae Young at one point. It's a sports agency. Rich Paul, you guys might have heard that name. You might not have. I don't know how tuned in people watching this are with just general NBA stuff. But there's a lot of controversy surrounding them and a few other people right now. Basically, Justin Edwards, he was this top 3 player in high school. He was just, this past season, he was a player at Kentucky, went one and done, went into the NBA draft. He went undrafted, and I do believe he'll get picked up for a summer league roster, but he went undrafted, which means he lost his college eligibility. He's still like 19 years old, went one and done, can't play college anymore, didn't get drafted. He's not on an NBA team right now. He'll probably get picked up. If not, he's already been picked up. I don't know. But Clutch, the reason I'm bringing up Clutch is because they are blaming Coach Cal and the Kentucky coaching staff for Justin Edwards not getting drafted. And I'm not just saying this because Coach Cal is the coach of my favorite team now, but I would say this if he was still Kentucky. I would have said this if he's with any other college program in the league. I would have said this if he's with Alabama, Auburn, Vanderbilt, if he's over with like Wisconsin, if he's with Michigan State. I don't care where he's at. I would be saying this exact same thing. Justin Edwards got plenty of opportunities at Kentucky. He got plenty of playing time. He just didn't really capitalize. He didn't show much skill. He was obviously very athletic. He had a few good games, but he just wasn't consistent enough. First off, that's kind of his problem. He didn't get drafted. The second problem he didn't get drafted is Clutch agency. Rich Paul, this is your guys' fault. You can't just continuously. They have so many instances, and I might talk about them here in a second, where they do something wrong or their players do something wrong and they just consistently lack taking accountability. They just blame everybody else. Like if you guys don't remember, the Draymond Green, who was a part of Clutch agency, whenever he punched Jordan Poole, Clutch came out and they were defending Draymond Green and they were blaming Jordan Poole for all of that. There's a few other instances. I do not like Clutch Sports. They're the reason that Bronny James got drafted, them and LeBron. I'll talk about that more in here in a second, but Clutch Sports consistently doesn't take blame for the things they do. They should have known that teams weren't giving Justin Edwards a draft buzz for him to get drafted. They should have known, okay, this kid has a very low chance of getting drafted. We're going to consistently tell him to go back to college and play one more year. That is their fault. They didn't do their due diligence. They didn't do any sort of just reaching out research. This is their fault, and Justin Edwards' fault that he didn't get drafted. He didn't perform well, and they should have known he wasn't going to get drafted. And they should have told him, go back to college. Take your name out of the draft. They didn't do that. You can't blame his coach and his college coaching staff. You can't blame them for that. They put him in a situation where he could have succeeded, but he just didn't perform well. That's all I wanted to say about that. There's not much else to say. So, now that I've gotten all the news out of the way, we're going straight into this NBA draft tier list for each team. I'm basically ranking each team in their draft picks and how well they did. I'm not going to be talking about free agency stuff while I'm ranking these, just strictly who they drafted and how it fits their team. So, I'm getting right into that. Alright, so we officially have this tier list set up. As you can see, the teams I'm going through are really in no specific order. It's more so like I have the more interesting teams at the top. So while I'm saying this, I'm going to go ahead and move Miami down and move the Trailblazers up. So it's not in really any particular order. It's just kind of in which the more interesting teams are going to be more towards the front and the less interesting teams are going to be more towards the back. Just in terms of viewer attention span, basically. But let's get straight into it. The first team is going to be the Portland Trailblazers. I really do like some of the picks they got up. The main one being Donovan Clingan. I like that pick just because I'm not the biggest fan of DeAndre Ayton in his long term with this young Trailblazers team. I just wasn't super high on him. But I do like the Donovan Clingan pick at 7. They pretty much, I know Memphis had big talks of really wanting Donovan Clingan. They just didn't get him. They weren't able to trade up. I'll talk about that more here in a second. But they ended up drafting Bub Carrington, but they also traded him to Washington, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't know what they got in return. I just know they didn't get Bub Carrington. They traded their other pick, 34 overall, Tyler Kolek, to the Knicks. I don't really like that either. And what else did they get? They traded their 40th pick as well to Phoenix, which was a pick they got from the Knicks. It looks like they got that pick from the Tyler Kolek trade, maybe. But basically, the only player they really got this draft was Donovan Clingan. I don't know. I don't like this pick, this whole draft. I don't like that they didn't get much players out of it, just because this is a rebuilding team. They do have a lot of talent, but I don't think they have enough talent to kind of justify what they did here. I think they should have drafted more players because they're a rebuilding team. They should have gotten out and got drafted. They should have drafted young picks. I don't know what they got in return. I know they did get Danny Avdija. I'm pretty sure he was traded here. Was he? I'm pretty sure this is where he was traded. But yeah, I'm just not a big fan of their picks, so I'm going to go ahead and put them... I'm honestly going to put them in the C tier. I think they should have done more just to kind of help rebuild this roster, rebuild this youth, put some kind of cornerstones they can build around. Because right now they have Shaedon Sharpe, they have Scoot Henderson, who didn't have the best rookie season. They have Anthony Simons, who probably won't be here much longer. I've seen him in a few trade talks. I don't know if he's going to be here much longer, but he's a very good player. Like I said, don't know if he's going to be here. DeAndre Ayton, they have Chris Murray. They have a few other guys that are on this roster. I think Matisse Thybulle is still here, but they don't really have any direction. Considering that they're like a rebuilding team, they need a few cornerstones. They have, like I said, they have Scoot Henderson and they have Shaedon Sharpe. That's about it right now. They have Donovan Clingan now, but then again, he's not much of a high ceiling type of player. Yeah, I have him at a C. I like the Donovan Clingan pick, but the fact that they didn't get any other pickups, I'm not a very big fan of that. So, with that being said, the next team we are covering is the Charlotte Hornets, which is another guy that I still really can't pronounce his name. I know his last name is Salon. I know that. I really, really, really like this pickup. I know in my mock draft I had him going a lot lower, so I think 6 is maybe a little high for him, but I think he's an amazing project player. I think he has super high potential. He's one of those guys who has a low floor, like he could be a bust, but he could also have a super high potential and be one of the biggest steals in this draft. And so that pick is, I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. I like his skill set with the Charlotte Hornets team. A lot of people compare him to like a Giannis type player, super tall, athletic, lanky guy who can drive and get to the rim. I like that pick a lot. At 42, they picked up KJ Simpson, who I'm not super high on him, but I think he has a decent game. I know I joked to my friends with his post-draft interview. He was it was probably the most light-skinned interview I've ever seen. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just go watch KJ Simpson's post-draft interview. But with that being said, I think this team, I like these picks a lot. I like Salon. I think that's the guy this team wanted. So, you know what? Okay. Yeah, they're going to be a B tier team. I like their picks. They didn't go too crazy, but the Hornets, I'm just not too hot, too bright, too optimistic on their future, but we'll see. They are a B tier team for me. Moving on, we have the Chicago Bulls. Now, the only pick they got this entire draft was Modest Buzelis. And those of you who watch my my mock draft video, you guys know I'm super high on Modest. I love this dude. I love his game. I thought he was one of the best players in this draft, and the fact that they picked him up at 11, he is from Chicago. I love this pick so much. They didn't get much else out of this, but this team is, once again, they're kind of stuck in that mid-ground. I don't know if they're going to try to rebuild. I don't know if they're just going to keep trying to compete. I don't know what they're doing with this team. But I do know for a fact I love this Modest pick. I think he fits very well with Kobe White. They now have Josh Giddey. They don't really have much of a center core. That's the only thing I don't really like about this team, but I love Modest. I love him. He's one of my favorite players in this draft. With that being said, I'm going to move him up to the Chicago Bulls have an A-tier draft. Even though they only got one player, I think that player they got is the guy. The fact that he fell to 11, I think that it's a perfect situation for this team. So that is the Chicago Bulls. The next team I'm covering is going to be... Oh, you guys might already know how I feel about this. If you guys saw the short I posted... I think the Washington Wizards had probably the best draft in this entire this year. I think they're the biggest winners. They got Alex Sarr with the second pick. They ended up trading their other pick, Dylan Jones, which was a 26th pick. So they had 2 first-round picks. They traded Dylan Jones for, I believe they traded him for Keyshawn George. I do like that pick a lot. But starting off with Alex Sarr, the fact that they got him at number 2 and that he fell into their hands whenever he was widely considered to be the number 1 overall pick. I've already said everything. I've already said everything I want to say about this team. If you guys want to watch that short I made, I go into a little bit more detail. But I like the Alex Sarr pick, getting him at number 2. I love that they traded for Bob Carrington. I love that. And getting Keyshawn George, who's like a excuse me, he's like a dynamic, big, kind of point forward type player who can play defense. He can shoot the ball a little bit. He can play make. I love that pick. I love that pick so much. So the Washington Wizards are going to be our first S tier team. And I just realized I didn't mean to make this list. Like I went from C, B, A to S. I didn't put it in that order on purpose. It just kind of fell that way. But I do think the Washington Wizards have an S tier draft this year. Moving on to the Los Angeles Lakers. This one is really controversial. Just because, first off, I think them getting Dalton Knecht at the 17th overall pick is an absolute steal. I mentioned that I think he's one of the most polished scorers in this draft. He's a little older at 23, fifth-year senior. But I think he's one of the best scorers in this draft. I think he fits very well alongside Anthony Davis, LeBron James, the pieces that they already have. I think he fits perfectly with this team. He is such a steal at 17th. If this was their only draft pick, I would have put them in A tier with the Chicago Bulls. You know, I just realized, bro, my microphone has been away from my face this whole time. Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. I probably just sounded really bad for the first 10, 15 minutes of this episode. That sucks. That kind of ruins the episode, but it's whatever. I'll keep going. The 55th overall pick, everyone's talking about it, Bronny James. It is very obviously a nepotism pick. I don't think Bronny James is as bad as people are making it out to be, but I don't really consider him an NBA talent yet. I think he's one of those type of guys that would have benefited highly from staying in college another year or maybe 2 years. I just don't like this pick at all. Another just masterclass of clutch agency, getting another one of their players drafted. I'm just not high on this pick. I think you guys already know everything that people say about this on the internet. I don't think he's like I said, he's not as bad as people are making him out to be, but I think this was a wasted pick. I think they could have gotten plenty of other better players. Like Justin Edwards, for example, could have been another guy they could have drafted. So I'm just, because of the Dalton Knecht pick, that keeps it from being a D. You know, I'll put them at B because they pretty much balance out. I think Dalton Knecht is the type of guy that is one of the biggest steals in this draft, and then Bronny James being one of the worst picks in this draft. It just it evens out at B. We'll go ahead and leave him there. The next team is going to be the Indiana Pacers. Sorry, I got to pull up exactly who all they picked. They picked up Juan Nunez. They got Tristan Newton, and I don't think they traded him, but they did actually end up trading Juan Nunez to the Spurs, and they got John Furphy from San Antonio. So they got a lot of. They didn't get a single first round pick this year because I think they traded them probably in the Pascal trade. I'm not sure where they ended up going, but I do like Tristan Newton a lot out of Connecticut, UConn. Back-to-back champion. I love this pick a lot. They just get that kind of veteran kind of guard that they can put back behind with Tyrese Halliburton and whoever else they have playing up there. Enrique Freeman, I don't know too much about him. Yeah, I don't know. Just like an average kind of draft just because they didn't get anybody in the first round. All of their picks are kind of late round picks. They have a 36 overall pick, 49th, and the 50th pick. So they have a lot of late picks. I don't think many of these guys are going to get much kind of rotation time, at least this first year or maybe the first 2 years. I don't think they're going to get too much time. I'm just going to throw them at the C. This just kind of feels like they were just kind of picking just to take up these draft spots. Like I said, I like the Tristan Newton pick, but then again, I don't know if these guys are going to play that much this year. So moving on to the very next team, we have the Atlanta Hawks. This might be the most intriguing team of the draft just because they ended up picking Zachary Risacher, which I don't believe is the right pick, but I don't believe they really had a choice. Mainly because I think Alex Sarr had said he didn't really want to go to this team. I think Risacher might have been. He's a decent fit for this team, but I just don't know what they plan on doing in the future. So I'm not the biggest fan of that number 1 overall pick, although I do think Risacher is a good player. I just don't think he's the right pick at number 1. They ended up trading AJ Griffin for Pele Larson. I don't know. A lot of Hawks fans and a lot of NBA fans liked AJ Griffin, and the fact that they traded him for a player they didn't even keep because they ended up trading Pele Larson for Nikola. I can't even pronounce that last name, Jurisic. They got him from Miami, so they basically traded AJ Griffin for Nikola Jurisic. I don't know how to pronounce that name. I don't like this pick at all. I think they may have had one of them. I don't know. I just don't like this draft. I think Risacher is a good player. I've already said that. I just don't like the fact that they didn't pick up Sarr. And like I said, they didn't really have much of a choice, but this team is a C-tier draft team. I just don't like that. They really only got 2 players, and they had to trade AJ Griffin, who's a promising young player. I don't like that they had to get rid of him. The next team is going to be the Detroit Pistons. The big kind of surprise they ended up taking was Ron Holland at 5th, who's a guy that was kind of projected to fall out of the lottery due to his lack of shooting and just overall shot creation. But for those of you who don't know, the Pistons apparently have picked up probably one of the best shooting coaches in basketball. He's the same guy who you guys, if you may know, he fixed Lonzo Ball's jump shot whenever he was with the Pelicans, or I think it was whenever he was with the Lakers, or maybe actually it might have been with the Pelicans. They turned Lonzo Ball from like a 17% three-point shooter to almost a 40% three-point shooter, which is insane. Fixed his jump shot, fixed everything about him. So I would assume the Pistons were like, okay, Ron Holland can do everything except for shooting. We have the best shooting coach. If we can develop him to shoot, that'd be an amazing steal at 5th overall. But just at face value, the fact that he can't shoot, we can't predict the future. We don't know if he'll be able to shoot. I don't like that pick. I think they could have picked up some better players. Like I think I ended up mocking either Risacher or Modest to 5th overall pick. It might have been Risacher, but because he fell, I think they could have gone now and got a Cody Williams. They could have gotten Modest Buzelis. I think there were some better picks they could have gotten at that forward position. But if for some reason their dreams come to fruition and he does become a good shooter, I'm perfectly fine with that. There's another guy from UConn getting drafted, Cam Spencer. Don't know too much about him, but it looks like they ended up trading him. Oh, hold on, let me look at this. They acquired Bobby Klintman and Wendell Moore Jr. from Minnesota. Okay, so they ended up trading Cam Spencer just for a 30. They ended up trading up, actually, and they got another player from Minnesota, probably like a salary drop-off, if I were to guess, from Cam Spencer. So that is good. I think... Where do I want to rank them at? I think I'm going to just go ahead and slide them in at B. I like the Ron Holland pick. I just said I don't like it. I don't like the fit, but if he is able to shoot, I like that pick. I think it's good that they just went out and drafted the guy they wanted. They didn't overthink it, especially in this type of draft. So I'll put them in at B. Moving on to our next team, we have the Thunder. Where are they? Here we are. Okay. Let me take a little drink break. All right, so sorry, this is taking a long time to load. Okay, here we go. So they drafted Nikola Topic, who is currently injured with an ACL tear. That's scary. Just the fact he's not going to be playing this year, and he's such a young guy already having an ACL problem. That is scary. But if he wasn't injured, we're just talking about Nikola Topic as a player. They basically traded Josh Giddey away and got Alex Caruso, and they just ended up drafting a player who is so similar to Josh Giddey. He's better at getting to the rim and better at finishing at the rim. But they basically just got his clone from Serbia, and they got Alex Caruso out of that, which I don't think. I'm just strictly grading their draft. It looks like they also ended up getting Dylan Jones from the Knicks via Washington, and they also got AJ Mitchell from the Knicks. So they got a decent draft here. But they have so much talent on their team already. I don't think those other draft trades were really necessary. We'll see what they end up doing with them. I do like Dylan Jones. I don't know much about AJ Mitchell. So they might just be. I don't know. I don't like the Topic pick. If you guys don't know, I'm not a big fan of Topic. I don't like his game that much. A lot of people were really high on him. I'm not. But I think getting him at 12 is not too much of a risk, other than the fact that he is going to be missing this season with an ACL injury, and he's already injury prone apparently at such a young age. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of him. I think their other draft acquisitions were fine. I just don't think they were really necessary. So, the Thunder are a C tier team. Only because I just don't think those draft trades were really necessary. They already have so much talent on this team. I don't know what they're going to do with this new talent. And I just don't like that Topic pick. So they are going to be a C tier team. No, so far no D tier, but we are moving on to the Grizzlies. Oh, this one. It looks like they got Cam Spencer from Minnesota, and they got Ulrich. Oh, they traded him to Toronto. Okay, so they got Zach Edey, Jalen Wells, and they got Cam Spencer. I think that Zach Edey pick is fine. I don't think he fits too well with this team. I know this team was desperately trying to go get Donovan Clingan, but they didn't trade up with him. I don't know. Maybe they just couldn't find a trade fitting, but they didn't get Zach Edey. Or they got Zach Edey. They didn't get Donovan Clingan. I like Jalen Wells. I like that pick. And Cam Spencer is all right. Like I said, I don't know too much about Cam Spencer. This might just be another C tier team just because I don't think Zach Edey fits too well with this team. He's just a big body. He might just do the same stuff that Steven Adams was doing. Just kind of getting rebounds, being a big body down the paint. He can allow Jaren Jackson Jr. to not have to play that center position, which he did a lot last year, which kind of tanks his defensive value a little bit. He picks up more fouls that way. You know what? I honestly just talked myself into putting them in the B tier as well. We got to get some more picks that are kind of up in the A, S, and I got to find a D tier team. I don't know what team I'm going to put down there yet. But the next team we have is the Jazz. Ooh, I really, really like what the Jazz did. It looks like they didn't make any trades. So the players they got, Cody Williams, Isaiah Collier, and Kyle Filipowski. Okay. I'm going to tell you guys what I'm thinking. This is either A or S tier. I love Cody Williams. He's another one of my guys in this draft. He's one of my favorite players in this draft. I've loved him ever since pretty much, I want to say November. This past college season, I've loved Cody Williams' game. Isaiah Collier was one, I think maybe a top 5 player in this draft. He was, not draft, but in his high school class, he was I think a top point guard in his class. I love Isaiah Collier. He didn't have the best season at USC, but I think he could have a decent season with the Jazz, especially being out of the Jazz aren't a team that's going to get a lot of media coverage. These guys can kind of just develop silently, and I love the Kyle Filipowski pick at 32. This Jazz team, I honestly, with the picks they had, I love Cody Williams, the fact that they got him at 10, the fact that they got Isaiah Collier all the way down at 29 and Kyle Filipowski at 32. Those are pretty much all three guys that were projected to be in the top 20 picks, and they got 2 of them in the 30s, basically. I'm going to put the Jazz in S tier. I really, really love what they did. And moving on, we have where are they? The Magic. So, I like Tristan da Silva, and those of you guys who know, I love Antonio Reeves. But they traded Antonio Reeves to the Pelicans. I don't know what they got back. I can view more, it says. I don't know what they got back. I don't know. But they ended up trading Antonio Reeves. It doesn't look like they got another draft pick back or another just player back. And they didn't get another pick back. They didn't get anything back from that. But Tristan Silva is a decent pickup. I don't know how well he's going to fit with this team because they already have Franz Wagner. They already have Paulo Banchero. They have a lot of forwards. I don't know how well he's going to fit. We'll end up seeing. I do like his play style, though. And I love Antonio Reeves. The fact that they traded him away, I don't like that. Okay. I think the Orlando Magic are also a C-tier team. I'm just not the biggest fan of this draft. Just because, like I said, I like Tristan Silva. I don't like his fit with this team just because of the positional kind of overlap they already have. And they traded away Antonio Reeves, so I thought it would have been amazing with this team. So they are a C-tier team. I know Antonio Reeves is the 47th overall pick, but I'm being a little biased right now. That's my favorite player out of this draft. But moving on to the 76ers, I know for a fact they got Jared McCain, but I don't know who else they picked up. Here we go. Okay, sorry, I don't have all this memorized, but it looks like they got Adam Bona out of Nigeria. I don't know if I pronounced his name right. Out of UCLA as well. And Jared McCain, everyone knows Jared McCain out of Duke. He's a good spot-up shooter. What else does he do? Spot up, shoot, dribble the ball a little bit. I do like his game. I think he fits well with this Philadelphia team, but I don't know how much playing time he's going to get. Same with Adem Bona. Like I said, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but this is just like an average draft. They might just be a C tier too, but I think them getting Jared McCain at 16 is going to put them in that B tier. Still looking for a D tier team. We'll see who I have next. The Timberwolves. Ooh, the Timberwolves. Okay, look, where are they? I already know I'm going to like their draft pick. So let's see. I know for a fact they traded for Rob Dillingham. They also got Cam Spencer. Apparently, has been getting passed around this draft like crazy. No, he ended up getting traded. That's right, he got traded to Memphis. So it looks like they got Bobby Klintman and Terrence Shannon Jr. and Rob Dillingham. They got a lot of draft picks this year. They got 3 picks. They ended up trading. No, wait, hold up. No, they didn't keep Bobby Klintman. So they only got Rob Dillingham, and it looks like Wendell Moore Jr. maybe? Yeah, okay, so they only got 2 players. No, they got 3 because they still have Terrence Shannon Jr. They have 3 players still. They just didn't keep Bobby Klintman. I like Terrence Shannon Jr. I love the fact that they traded up and got Rob Dillingham from the Spurs. I love that they did that. I think this team is going to be in the A tier just because of that Rob Dillingham move. They were a title contender this past season, and they went out and got some young pieces that they can still develop. And I know Rob Dillingham is like the favorite, like the favorite media / fan favorite out of this draft. So I'm sure a lot of people love that, and especially with the Timberwolves being a fan favorite team, it just makes so much sense. The next team I'm going to cover is the Rockets, if I can find them. Here we are. Okay. The Rockets. They traded for that number 44 overall pick. We've already talked about that. Pelle Larsson, they got that from the Hawks. And they also... No, they traded that pick to the Hornets, or to the Rockets. No, my gosh, my mind is going everywhere. They traded that pick to Atlanta, and they got AJ Griffin back. I love that they did that. And because it's not technically a pick, but it is something they did on draft night, I love that they did that. I love the Reed Shepherd pick because of the fit. The only problem I have with the Reed Shepherd pick is I feel like they could have traded down to run the 7th overall pick. Maybe they could have traded with the Grizzlies. That way the Grizzlies could have got Donovan Clegan. They could have got Reed Shepherd. But I think he fits so well with this team, and the fact that they got AJ Griffin, I'm going to put them in that A tier as well. I think they could have gone in S tier if they could have traded down and still got Reed Shepherd. They would have been in the S tier. But I think A tier fits perfectly with this team and what they did. Next team we're covering looks like the Spurs. Okay. Okay. What am I going to say about this team? So, they got Harrison Ingram, Juan Nunez, and Stephon Castle. They traded Rob Dillingham, and they traded Johnny Furphy. So, I do not like that they traded that 8th overall pick. Obviously, with it being Rob Dillingham, I would have liked them to keep it, but I also would have just liked them to keep the pick in general and pick someone better. I don't like the fact that they traded Rob Dillingham away. I don't know if that's just kind of for a salary kind of filler, so they could have picked up Chris Paul. I don't know how that all works. I like Stephon Castle. I'm not the biggest fan of his fit, but I do think if he can develop to be a shooter, he fits perfectly with his team. His defensive capability, he does play make. I like that fit a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of the fit in general, but I do like that fit. I don't like that they traded Rob Dillingham. I don't like that they pretty much only kept Harrison Ingram and Juan Nunez. I don't know. Just like, I think they're another C-tier team. Like I said, I don't like that they traded away that 8th overall pick, and I'm not the biggest fan of the Stephon Castle fit just at face value, but if he can develop to be a shooter, that's another thing I could see them doing. Okay. It looks like we're about halfway, maybe. The Trailblazers are... Where are the Trailblazers at? No, the Raptors. The Raptors, okay. I'm tripping. I love Jacoby Walter. I love that pick. I love the fact that they also got Jamal Sheed from Sacramento. I don't know why I couldn't figure out where that was going. And they also got Ulrich Komche. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, from Memphis via Minnesota. And they also got Jonathan Mogbo. So they got 4 players. I love Jacoby Walter, and I love the Jamal Sheed pick. This is another team that I'm going to put them in the S tier. I love what they did this draft. I think the pieces they picked up fit perfectly with their surrounding young core they have. They have Scotty Barnes. They have Emmanuel Quickley. They have RJ Barrett. I love the picks that they got. This is an S tier team in my opinion. That was a quick one. The Pelicans. Okay, I'm gonna warn you guys right now. There's bias. I love the fact that they got Yves Missy and Antonio Reeves from Orlando. I love this pick they got. They got that center out of Baylor. I think he fits perfectly with what this team is missing, considering the fact that they just lost. What's his name? They just lost their center, Jonas Valanciunas, and I think he fits better with this team than what Jonas Valanciunas did. He's a young guy they can develop. I love the Antonio Reeves pick. I don't know how much playing time he's going to get behind Jordan Walker. Oh my gosh, Jordan Hawkins. They also have C.J. McCollum. They just traded for DeJounte Murray. I don't know how much he's going to play, but I love that. This is another team I'm going to go ahead and put in that A tier. Still looking for that D tier team, but there's a few teams I could definitely see falling into that D tier spot. Next team we're covering looks like going to be the Suns. I like DaRon Holmes. I love Kevin McCullough out of Kansas. It looks like they did end up trading DaRon Holmes, though, for Ryan Dunn, which 28th overall pick. Hold on. They ended up trading to get that Kevin McCullough Jr. pick and future two second-round picks. They also got... I'm not even going to pronounce his name. The 40th overall pick from the Knicks. And they traded Kevin McCullough Jr. to the Knicks. So they really only kept... They got Ryan Dunn and the 40th overall pick from the Knicks, and as well as 2 second-round picks. This is the one. This is a D tier. I don't know what they were doing with trading those 2 picks. That's a D tier. I don't like what they did at all this draft. That is really ugly. I didn't know they had that bad of a draft. That is really, really bad. I don't like that at all. What the heck? Okay, so the Nuggets. I'm trying to move through these quick because I've been recording for like 30 minutes. I want to keep this this video short. So it looks like they traded DaRon Holmes. Oh no, they acquired DaRon Holmes and they traded away their Ryan Dunn pick. So they basically just got DaRon Holmes. They lost a couple of second-round picks, and they lost their 28th overall pick just to move up to get 22nd. I like what the Denver Nuggets did here. I think this is just a B tier. Nothing crazy, but it is overall a positive draft in my opinion. Like I said, though, nothing crazy. Where are the Cavs? Where are the Cavaliers? Here we go. Okay, that's the next team we're covering, obviously. And they only got Jalen Tyson, which I really, really, really like Jalen Tyson. In all of the interviews I've seen of him, he just seems like a winning type player. He's willing to do anything to help the team win. He doesn't care if he's scoring. He'll defend. He'll do all the dirty work. He will play make. I really, really like this pick. I think he fits well, and they're kind of short in that forward position. So I'm going to put the Cavs in the A tier. I love Jalen Tyson. I loved his game so much out of Cal. He's another one of my favorite guys in this draft. I really like that pick. Next team is going to be the Bucks. They got A.J. Johnson and Tyler Smith. No trades, so it's just straight face value. That's what they got. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but then again, I'm not the biggest hater of it. I think these guys fit well. I just think the Bucks aren't really a team that's looking to draft. They're a team that's looking to move in free agency, get some players for their 2 stars, Dame and Giannis. So I'm just gonna put them in the C tier. We have a lot of C tier teams in here, but it's just kind of like an average draft. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I also don't hate it. It's just I think they could have done better. Moving on, we have the Golden State Warriors. All they got was Quentin Post out of Boston. He's a center. This is a D tier. I feel like they should have at least tried trading this pick to do something with it. I don't like this draft. I don't like the fact that their only pick is the 52nd overall pick, and he's just kind of just a what kind of pick. Because they already have Trace Jackson Davis, so they're developing at that center point. But maybe, who knows? I might regret putting them in D tier. I'm not sure yet. But moving on, we have the Kings, who ended up getting Devin Carter and Jamal Sheed, who they eventually ended up trading. So they pretty much only got Devin Carter. I don't really like that they traded Jamal Sheed, but I love Devin Carter. After my last draft video, and I didn't really know who he was, I went up and watched a lot of film on him, a lot of research on him. I love the Devin Carter pick. I just don't know how much he's going to play. But if they would have kept Jamal Sheed, this would be an A tier draft. But the fact that they didn't, he's just falling right into they're falling right into the B tier. We only have 6 teams left. I'm just going to try and go through these quick so you guys aren't just sitting here waiting forever. We do have, where are they? The Mavericks. Here we are. Okay. So that is the next team, obviously. But it looks like they traded their 58th overall pick, Ariel Hukporti, for Melvin. I can't pronounce his name either. Ajinka. I don't know. They got him from the Knicks. So they basically just did a one swap, and they ended up trading that pick anyway. So they didn't get anybody out of this draft, it looks like. So because they didn't get anybody from the draft, they also fall into the D tier. Because they traded everybody away. But I don't know what they got in return. But because it's simply just kind of like a draft video, they didn't draft anybody. They just simply fall into the D tier. I wish I would have made an F tier just for didn't draft anybody. Is what I kind of would put that at. But they didn't do anything. And then the Clippers. Who did they get? I did like their draft a lot last year because they got Kobe Brown out of Missouri. I like him a lot. He didn't play too much, but they got Cam Christie, who is a solid player. Max Christie's brother, if you guys don't know, plays for the Lakers. So both the brothers are in LA. They won't be in the same building because the Clippers are going to have a new building, but they're both in LA, both close to each other. It's just an all right pick. This is just another C tier. Not really much going on with this pick. I do like his game, but I just a whatever kind of pick. The Nets, where are they? Did they have any picks this year? No picks for them, so they were falling into the D tier. This is, like I said, this is where I wish I would have added another tier, just so that way they could fall into an F tier where they just didn't have any drafts. Can I add another? Add a row below. Okay, so this new row right here, we're just gonna say this is no picks. Sorry, this is just on the fly. I'm freestyling right now. So we're moving the Mavericks and the Knicks or the Nets down there. Okay. So we have 3 teams left. We're getting there. 3 teams left. Which is going to be the Knicks. I like the moves they made. They ended up trading Keyshawn George to the Wizards. That's correct. They traded. It looks they made a lot of trades. I don't know if I can keep up with all this. Did they keep anybody? AJ Mitchell got traded. They acquired Tyler Kolek, but did they end up trading him later? No. So it looks like they pretty much just got Tyler Kolek, Bakomi, Diet. So they only got 2 players. This is just another kind of it looks like they were trading a lot of their picks for assets. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put them in we'll just slot them in at that C tier just because it's just another just kind of whatever kind of draft for them. We have 2 teams left. Oh my gosh, we're getting there. I feel like I've been recording forever. They got Baylor Shearman and Anton Watson. 2 guys I don't really know too much about. Celtics, I'm going to put them in the D tier just because I'm kind of a hater. I don't think they needed to draft this year, but I don't know what they're going to do with those picks. Probably end up in the G League. But last team, Miami Heat. They got Kel'el Ware, who they ended up... Did they end up trading? No, they kept him. But they also got Pele Larson. They traded their 43rd overall pick for the 44th overall pick. Another C tier team. I don't know. It's just kind of just what... Actually, I like the Kel'el Ware pick. They are a B tier team now. So... This screen right here is my official tier ranking for every single team's draft. It was kind of a long-winded episode once again. I hope I didn't bore you guys. I might have bored myself a little bit just because the first kind of 15 teams I did were the fun teams. The last 15 are just kind of But this is my official draft tier pick thank you guys for watching. I'm going to try and put out more short content because it seems that's getting a lot more views. And I honestly enjoy doing the short-term content a little bit more just because it's more fun to edit. These videos I kind of just record, clip out a few things here and there, and post it. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Tune in for next week's episode. And sorry this episode came out a little late. And sorry my mic was not close to my face at all. I'm so sorry that the audio in the first part of this video was trash. Anyways, see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.